You know when you go to the Madonna Hotel and everything looks like a fantasy, where it's like, hey, didn't you always want to fuck in an aquarium? And it looks like, you're just like two little turtles like going at it. What? It's just Aquaman fucking. That's Aquaman in a porno. Just air bubbles coming from down here and up there, just like. Hello, welcome to Kite Club podcast. The first rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. The second rule of Kite Club is tell everyone about Kite Club. And the third rule is like and subscribe. Thank you, former President Barack Obama, for being a listener, probably our first listener. And welcome back. We are excited that you are joining us once again. I'm Jonathan Kite. With me, as always, is producer Paul Corey. In the building. Tempe Improv, I'm coming to see you. You know I am. I'll be there June 29th through July 2nd. We got tons of shows, going to be special guests. It's going to be a crazy lineup. Please come see me. We're going to have a great time. Spend 4th of July like a patriot. I'm only going to be doing pro-America jokes the whole weekend. God bless America. I'm going to lead everybody we'll be singing Star Spangled Banner. It's going to be pretty much just American karaoke. We're going to do country songs. That's it. So just come out and see us. We're going to have an unbelievable time out there. Get your tickets at jonathankitecomedy.com for all the dates. You're probably wondering why I look like a dirty pile of laundry today. I just got back from Austin. I was there for the weekend during Moon Tower Comedy Fest was going on all weekend long, or for the past 2 weeks or whatever. I came out to do some shows. Austin is a great time. If you haven't been to Austin, go there. Great city, fun comedy city. The only thing about Austin is like Pleasure Island from the movie Pinocchio.
Eat all you can. Be a glutton. Stuff yourselves. It's all free, boys. It's all free.
If you stay there long enough as a tourist, you wind up turning into livestock. You know when they're playing pool, him and Lampwick? That was a deep cut, Lampwick. When they're playing pool and then he starts to turn into a donkey, that's what I start to look like. I slowly turn into the first half of a Tide commercial where you're never gonna get these stains out. It's real rough on you, boy. I come back and it looks like when I remember I approached the gate agent flying Delta because I've made it. And the gate agent, when they check me in all the time, I feel like when I fly back from Austin, I look like a drug deal went wrong. That I've got to go home and we have to fix something bad. I'm just surprised that I show up with both my shoes to the airport. I can't get that early flight. There's some people that were flying out at like 5 a.m. after. I'm going, it looks, by the way, we flew out at 3. It looked like I was flying out at 5 a.m. My face was brought to them by Sleepy Time Tea. And because I don't really drink, like, I drink when if you see me out and I'm doing shows and stuff, like I'm definitely drinking. But I don't really drink that much when I'm in LA. I'm not that big of a drinker. But when I go on the road, I'm making up for all the people that don't drink in the world. I'm just going out and shots. I mean, I was out till 5 a.m. every single night when I was there. And you know why I'm okay with this? I'm giving myself a pep talk. Just
get it, bro.
Yeah. I'm okay with this because I already look like I've been out till 5 a.m. So I feel like I'm cheating myself if I don't drink myself silly, because then I have no excuse. Like I'm a tired looking guy who has no kids. People are like, get some sleep. I'm like, these are just genetics. So I'm
get
gonna
some kids.
Yo, dude, Get Some Kids is a new service, my kidnapping service, where it's like an adoption agency, but there's no vetting process. You just go like a lobster tank. We go to a park. We pull up in a Chevy in a Malibu, right? We just roll down real slow. You pick a kid like a lobster tank. We get you that kid.
Yep.
Yo, let's go. But the thing is, like, I'm always looking like this, right? So, because I'm not a weed guy. I know I slowly look like I'm morphing into a bad wax sculpture of Seth Rogen. And forever I used to smoke weed all the time, but it really fucked with my voice. So when I'm doing like impressions and stuff, like the next day, my voice would be totally gone. And so it also was like kind of screwing with my memory. So I was just like, I'm not going to be doing weed anymore. But it's like every time, by the way, I look like a drug dealer. I think I've said this before. I know like something is wrong. Like I'll be at a club or something and like the hottest chick at the club is talking to me. And I'm like, yeah, she's trying to buy drugs off me. Like she thinks I have drugs. I just need to start carrying drugs so that I can meet these women. Because that's what it's like
That's how most of LA gets laid.
Dude. I just got to go in like a watch salesman, like instead of having the rollies, I go, what do you want? I go, hey, what do you want? I got opium. I got Xannies. I got, what's the pill that makes, the Kardashians thin?
It's not okay though. It's not.
Ozempic, right?
Yeah,
Ozempic? Yeah. I got Ozempic. I got it all. What you need from me? I'm telling you, people, I remember I was at Hyde. These girls walked right up to me and they're like, where can we get Coke? I was like, wow, that is flattering. That you think I got that Coke money. I do sound like I got that drip. I'm wearing the drip and I got that drip.
The back of the
yeah. My throat, yeah. I dress so well, even the back of my throat got drip. Yeah, man.
Just throw that out.
Yeah, just like,
blow it.
But it's like, it's crazy because that's the thing. I think people already, or I look like somebody who's just got out of rehab and is doing well. I just have that hangdog kind of face. I don't, I wish I did smoke. If I smoked and drank and was a drug dealer at the party, people would be like, that's what that guy was supposed to do with his life. But I said, no. I said, no, I want to be a comedian, a podcaster. I want to be an actor. I want to be all this other stuff. So, but then I do those movies and those TV shows. And then I play an alcoholic drug addict who sells drugs to women at clubs in movies.
That's what typecasting is.
They look at me and they're like, oh, sorry, sir. Oh, there's not a recovering heroin addict in this. And I got the veins for it. You can't even see it, but it looked like Google Maps here. Bro, it looks like the highway, this 409. I mean, come on. This spray is so clean. And this one looks like 405. And this is the 10. Just, I look like the guy who either has drugs or who needs drugs. I'm surprised more people don't just try to get me to buy. Because I feel like when I'm in a bar, I don't think I'm a bad drunk. Watch, there's going to be police footage tomorrow that comes out simultaneously with this podcast that just proves everything I'm telling you right now. But I'm not a crazy drunk. I don't drink and drive. I just think I'm one of these guys who I'm drinking enough where it always just looks like I'm going through some shit. But which is not true. But it's like lean into it. And in Austin, I lean so far into it, I fall. And so this weekend, the shows were awesome. The Sunset Strip just opened in Austin on 6th Street. Check that out if you're there. I did a show called Don't Tell, which is a pop-up show. They have them all over. I think they're in 45 cities. And I performed in a gazebo, bucket list, that this guy, this artist, he bought like an acre or two of land, and you know when you go to the Madonna Hotel and everything looks like a fantasy, where it's like, hey, didn't you always want to fuck in an aquarium? And it looks like, you're just like two little turtles like going at it. What? It's just Aquaman fucking. That's Aquaman in a porno. Just air bubbles coming from down here and up there, just like. But this guy had a property like that where like there was just so much diversity on the property. Not people, obviously. It was Texas. No, there are clearly. But there were all these. There was one that looked like a forest setting that just looked like, have you always wanted to have dinner in Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream? He had a bus that was the green room for us. And in the back, he had a cafe set up. It was beautiful. And he did everything himself. So the gazebo, it had to be like 50 feet high. It was gorgeous. It looked like something that was on the Treehouse competition show on TLC. But it's funny because when women go, oh, this guy is good with his hands, that's what they think that they're getting from a guy, that this guy is just Paul Bunyan and that he's just like this woodworking god. This was the most incredible gazebo I've ever seen in my life. It was so structurally sound. I have no idea how this guy built this thing. It was like the pyramid. And I say that as a Jew. I know how those got built. We secretly passed on the information. That's what they tell you when you get bar and bat mitzvah. We spread the Jew secret how we built those pyramids. And let me tell you, it was not good. But we had a great time. I was just happy to be out of town because Coachella was happening this weekend. I don't know how many of you guys went to Coachella. I went to Coachella one time, and my cousin's band was playing. It was awesome, but the whole place smells like a porta potty.
It's miserable.
And you're like, how is it possible? We're outdoors. It all smells like a petting zoo, but you can't find the animals. It's just like, I feel like there's just people like taking shits everywhere. It's like you're just rummaging around a cat box. And when I went, everyone, I guess it was a year that they were really trying to stop the drug trafficking going through there. I'm like, yeah, good luck. Everybody had secret compartments and was just everybody that I was with in the group was just muling drugs back and forth. You know, it felt like that's what it was for. It felt like, by the way, that's why I was perfectly fitting in there. Because you bet your ass they double checked me.
Yeah, you had no drugs on you.
Bro, they let everyone go through and they were like, this guy's carrying them all. Like I was wearing a fat suit that was full of cocaine and guilt because I got stopped. I remember they weren't stopping people. And by the way, I was wearing the shortest shorts. It's like they were getting sucked into my butthole. I almost had a thong on. It was so hot. And it was so sandy. It was like Fury Road themed. My cousin was playing drums in the band, and he got his cornea damaged because of the intense sands and the wind being blown. So you're listening to music, and it feels like we're all just listening to the guitar player in the front of that Fury Road thing, where we're all just sort of battling the elements just to be there live. I mean, it was a fun experience. But at the same time, I think it's one of those things that it looks so much better on TV or like on YouTube or whatever people watch it, where it's like you're going from place to place. We were all just Jews wandering around the desert looking for water tents, and it was a little insulting that I was there was a real stop and frisk with me for the drugs. I don't even think that guy worked there. I just think that he thought I had drugs on him. That's what I would do, by the way. I would dress up like a security guard and go around and bust people for drugs. I feel like that's what smart drug addicts should do. I feel like that they would have elaborate costumes and that they would just go around and be busting the place up.
This is genius.
I mean, come the fuck on.
This is genius. And then resell it to everybody else.
Bro, and then resell it as, you'd have to look homeless enough like me. So I would play both parts. So I would have a quick change costume where I'd have on, I'd wear sort of like Jedi clothes or whatever, so no one would know it was me. But then I would have a security guard character and go around, bust all the drugs, then throw on the hood, throw on everything, right? And then little sunglasses, maybe a long beard or whatever. And dude, and you sell other things, right? You sell dream catchers, crystals, real estate in the metaverse, whatever. And you're there, and when people come up to you wanting to buy that, you kind of go, psst. And then if they go, they're undercover cops, you have the security guard outfit underneath, and you go, I'm an undercover cop, bro. Then you never get caught.
Dude, we're going to make a lot of money next year, dude.
Dude, you're like, you're under arrest, sir. I go, you're under arrest, sir. I'm like, I'm on your team, bro. Dude, it's perfect.
It's genius. It's genious.
Because I do think that I'm the type of looking guy that is the perfect narc for these undercover operations. I think I could walk into those places and I go, this guy looks unstable enough where this guy might be selling drugs, but dude, and then what I have on underneath the cop uniform, if they're doing it to me, then they pull off their cop uniform and they're just, like, oh no, man, oh shit. No, we're not cops. Then I pull out underneath as well. Like I'm a Russian doll of clothing. And I'm like, dude, me neither. You want to buy some drugs? But then if they're like, no, we were tricking you, our cops, you got to have one more layer underneath there. And I'm like, just kidding, busted. I have to have just like all these badges underneath, dude.
Just layers of life.
But they're puka shell necklaces. So like they just don't appear until you're like, freeze. And they're like, just kidding. And I'm like, me too. And then I pull back the badge and the bag of Coke is in the badge.
Oh my God.
I'm selling drugs and drug costumes. I was like, hey, it's like my version of a pyramid scheme. I was like, now, if you can do this, sell this to 3 of your buddies and you're on my team now. You're on my squad. this little gnat is trying to get in on our deal. He's like, I want in. He's tweaking right now. I just see this little guy fly by. And he's like, but he's got like 6 of them.
He found
He's
some
got
of your
3
drugs.
little arms going to the 3 other arms, going, "Come on, man, I just need a hit." But but also, like, and I know this is how, like, I know I'm getting old, but I don't recognize anybody at Coachella. Like, I recognize like 10 of the bands or whatever, or 10 of the artists, and then I didn't recognize anybody else. And so, I mean, obviously it's a huge deal. It's interesting that it's so funny because Coachella is one of those things where, and I'm glad that it exists. I think it's really cool that California has that. But it's so funny that Coachella is like the thing where people go, "Oh, dude, I used to go when it was like way better and now it's like super corporate." I'm like, dude, anything that lasts is super corporate. I mean, it's so funny that people go, that they're like, I used to go when it was just like, you know, we were all just hanging out in a sandbox playing drum circles. I'm like, that's Venice Beach, dude. You're not, Post Malone ain't showing up to that. Now, a homeless guy that looks like Post Malone might. And me.
2 weekends, bro. It got so big that they had to turn it into 2 weekends.
2 weekends. But it's this, and I know people that get the 2 weekend pass.
Yeah, I do too. But those people have issues.
Well, it's like, you can buy drugs in LA. Like, do you think that that's where you're like, dude, I better go for 2 weekends and stock up for the year? Like the grasshopper and the ant from the old fable. Just got to tuck all that cocaine away for the winter, the snow for the snowy months. And the thing is, I wonder, because when I went with a bunch of people, that's the other thing is like, everything is super far. Like, we even got a house that was sort of on the outskirts, like right there. The Uber situation, trying to get out of there, holy hell.
Miserable.
It's insane. It's like the lifeboats of the Titanic. We lost a lot of good men that weekend at Coachella. People just live there. Now they're nomads. Now they're just sand people from Star Wars. I got to work on that impression. But they're just people, but it is super fun. But then you realize, like, you go through so much. I mean, yeah, it's the Jews wandering in the desert that's why you do the drugs. Because it's like you're there, there's so much walking around and sort of going around. You're like, I don't want to experience reality. I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to drink what I can. And it's so funny because to sneak stuff on there, I mean, it's like, God forbid you got busted leaving, that you didn't finish all the drugs. And then you guys, we all have to do this. We all have to do this ketamine right now.
Hurry.
Yeah. Dude, you know what you don't see? I never saw drug sniffing dogs there. If they announced that there were drug sniffing dogs, Coachella would be done. No one's going to Coachella. No one's paying those prices and going out 2 days in the desert to not have the peyote trip of a lifetime.
Or we create vacuum sealed, non-sniffing bags and make a lot of money during Coachella.
Dude, that's what this podcast has turned into.
We should just start selling all the shit we talk about.
So what about the peanut butter jar? Isn't that the thing, right? Where you could put it in peanut butter?
Oh, peanut butter and coffee.
Doesn't it sound like right now that I'm clearly a narc trying to, like, pretending not to know how to do this?
I mean, if this doesn't work out, dude, I think I'm going to fund you being a drug dealer.
Dude, somebody needs to. But here's the thing. I think some days I look like I'm there. I'm always look like I should be in the opium den. But I think that some days I look like an ally and sometimes I don't. Like, I bet there's certain circles. I probably have to lose about 30 pounds. If I lose 30 pounds, I could be number one narc.
If you lost 30 pounds, you would look like the Matthew McConaughey in that one movie, Dallas Buyers Club.
It wrecked him so much. I'll tell you this. One time I did a juice cleanse for like a week, and then I tried solid foods, and holy shit, did it hurt. It was like my body that's why they start babies on soft stuff, so that it can just kind of like you're piping out frosting, just like a. Not me, man. I started with salmon and rice because I was starving, and holy shit, I almost blew my asshole out. Dude, my stomach shrank so much, but I just like wolfed down some poke after and it was unbelievable. It's like it's like somebody had sewed my butthole closed. It's like they sewed the wrong hole closed after surgery. And I just it felt like, remember the Play-Doh Fun Factory? We were pushing Play-Doh through and it was those shapes, but it felt like I was doing it with cement. Oof, bro. You can't even see this. It happened 2 years ago. I'm literally sitting on a beanbag chair right now. Because I can still, my asshole has flashbacks. It was the Vietnam. It was tough.
Shout out to our sponsors, Lovesac.
Lovesac. Oh, that feels good. So I just want to go over a couple of news stories. Oh, we talked about this before, but never on the show. I finished watching The Drive to Survive, the Netflix show. Have you guys seen this? I was obsessed with it. It's about Formula One. My father was in cars my whole life. I liked cars. I mean, I thought that like the DeLorean from Back to the Future would be a cool car to get. But I never was interested in NASCAR or anything like that. This show is so incredible.
It's so good. The way that it's filmed is literally like a movie.
But here's the thing. Psychologically, it's unbelievable because these people so the cars, I asked a friend who was in that world and I said, how much? Because when they crash a car or whatever, I go, how much is that car?
It's like $1 million, $2 million.
Dude. So when they're doing the lap times for pole position in the trials the day before, there are often times where they're crashing these cars.
Oh yeah,
it's like $2 million.
Yeah, it's $1 billion. Did you know though that the F1 sold for like I think $7 or $8 billion, and then when the Netflix show came out, their valuation 4x'd, and now I think F1 is worth like $40 billion.
I believe that.
Yeah.
It's crazy that there's only 20 cars. There's 10 teams, 2 cars apiece.
Yeah.
And you have to go through the circuit. And so it's a very hard thing to do. But the craziest thing I think about it is, the team principals who are sort of in charge of everything. Now, sometimes they're the owner, like this guy, Toto Wolff, who owns Mercedes. He's the CEO. He's the main guy. And sometimes like for Haas, which is the one out of America, it's in Austin, Texas. There is an owner. There's a team principal named Gunther. And the craziest thing is you're not used to seeing people worth this much money sweat. Because when you watch Jeff Bezos, who has a whole PR team around him, who's just trying to make him seem like a fun guy in a cowboy hat, right, humans? Just like me. He's like an animatronic dude. He just doesn't seem real. Or when you see Elon Musk, which I think was why the internet exploded when he smoked weed on Rogan's podcast, it's because they have these machines just trying to make them look good, because I think so many people inherently think they're evil billionaires, whatever. But to watch these people sweat when the cars aren't doing well and their reputation is on the line, and to watch them get mad, knowing how much, you never see that insight.
Yeah,
I mean,
the best.
Mark Cuban is like the one guy in basketball, and I love the Dallas Mavericks, but he's sort of a television personality. These guys aren't necessarily television personalities, so much so that the guy who got fired for his name is Matteo Benito from Ferrari. He wasn't good. It's obviously he can speak English, but I don't think that he was very comfortable in the second season. So all of his answers were sort of short and sort of like, yes, we want to win. And then it was like, oh, but how do you think you're doing this year? We could be better. And then they let him speak, or I think somebody on his team was like, can we let this man speak in Italian? And then he's just like, and then he was like, but to even watch him, it's like, and this guy, they all look amazing. They look sort of like Bond villains. They all look like Dick Tracy characters. Like this dude has the craziest hair. He's got a lot of like Sideshow Bob going on. And they're trying to be cool, knowing full well that they're being filmed. They're trying to all be cool about it, but some of them are just losing they shit. And the drivers, it's such an interesting sport because they're selling a lifestyle as much as anybody. They're all these like incredibly good looking, sort of like chiseled, and they're all young, right? They look like Kevin Spacey's Most Wanted. And then with Lewis Hamilton being the only black driver in the history of the sport, and then he was crushing it for years at Mercedes, and to see that dynamic, going because now they have a few Asian drivers, which is cool, and to see how the sport is expanding into other countries. But it's just so interesting to watch these people like gamble with that much money. And no matter how the rain conditions, you think people can't drive in LA in the rain? These people are going at Mario Kart speed. And when one crashes into each other, I mean, this one guy almost died.
Yeah.
And it's flipping and everything. I mean, it is as dramatic as you possibly can get. And they're not embellishing, by the way. These are the real races. They're not creating storylines the way that, like, next time on the Kardashians, oh no, I thought we were all wearing pink. And then you're like, dude, were they all wearing pink? It's like, who fucking cares? This is like, the guy is like, Red Bull's been cheating. And then I love the British guy. Wait, I can't remember. His name is, I didn't even write his name down. This guy's amazing though. But he's this smug guy he's married to Jerry Holloway from Spice Girls. And he's sort of, their principal is married. And so he's sort of, that calculated Bond villain where he goes, well, we'll just have to see about that.
He does do that.
And then they hold on him.
Yep.
And then Toto Wolff, the Austrian, who's not used to losing, and then he goes, well, he's definitely cheating, but trying to keep his cool. But you could just see the color in his face has changed than it was when they were winning. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think it's so cool. And I love the movie Rush.
Oh, so good.
The movie Rush is, if you haven't seen it, it's unbelievable. Ron Howard directed it. It's about James Hunt, who was a British race car driver played by Chris Hemsworth. Very nice, sort of a party boy who loved to drink and he loved to fuck. Yeah. And I love to hunt. Trophies and pussy, James Hunt. And then Niki Lauda, who's the Austrian, who's played by Daniel Bruhl. To me, I think one of the finest film performances in the last 20 years.
He smashed that role.
Dude, he looked just like him.
Yeah.
And Niki Lauda famously was involved in a almost fatal car accident, was in the hospital, and he came back. It's just about them being frenemies and sort of pushing the other one to do. And it is, I feel like the one thing people go like, well, what do you think about F1 now? I do think that it's making me a more aggressive driver. Like, I realize when I'm on the road, I'm like, I think I can pass this guy. And I most of the time cannot. And it's not, I don't think I'm in the mentality and I'm sort of like, trying to go down the road. And I mean, man, just to see that, it's thrilling. It's a way that I never looked at driving before.
Are you a one-hand driver or a two-hand driver?
Depends on if I'm giving the guy I'm passing the finger. No, I'm probably a one-hand driver.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, I'm also left-handed when I drive, and I'm a right-handy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm let's see, what am I doing with my other hand? This isn't good. We got to cut this. Let's see. Let's see. What am I? Yeah. No, it's stick shift.
Yep.
No, but I drive an automatic.
Yeah, you sit on your left hand. Up.
But that's the thing. Like, you got to think, because they have little. If you haven't seen it, the way that they drive, it's like a little controller, and they're constantly being monitored. And the car is a computer at the highest level.
Correct.
And so anything that they do like this at the speeds. I mean, you do this too far, you're into the stands. And so the craziest thing about the sport is you can only do it by doing it. So because they move up, right? F3, F2, F1. And when you get an opportunity, if you don't like succeed immediately, you're out of it. There's too much money at stake all the time. It's never just for shits and giggles.
Also the rules. It's very hard to understand why when you're in the lead, all of a sudden you have to let another car pass you. And you're just like, why? And then you realize that there's like a history of rules that they're following.
Yeah, that they have to, it's weird, or you get penalties for stuff. Mm-hmm. And they have wet tires and dry tires. And the team, there's 1,000 people working on that. I mean, that pit crew, if you don't put that tire right on, I mean, it costs you everything. And it's by a second. You remember that old show on Hanna-Barbera called Wacky Races? No. It was sort of like F1, but it was over, because F1 is cool. I mean, NASCAR is fine, but the circle, I mean, I'm sure it's hard, but the idea that you're going like this, when you do Monaco, you can't see around the turns. You have to just know Monaco.
Yeah, it's insane. It's almost like you have to memorize every inch of that course.
And so the Wacky Races, that's when they do Dick Dastardly and Muttley. The Muttley was the dog, his sidekick. They would go. It was an old Hanna-Barbera cartoon. That was the extent of my racing knowledge up until this Drive to Survive show. Was cartoons driving old beaten up machines in wacky races. Check it out. Animal news. That segment that we're trying to make work that isn't. Welcome. I'm David Attenborough, and welcome to Animal News. I saw the other day neckties for dogs, which I thought was very foolish because the little wiener dog kept stepping on his necktie. That's just a missed opportunity. You got to give him bow ties, bro.
Too good.
Give him bow ties. Who doesn't want to see a wiener in a bow tie? Also a frequent dick pic, I said.
I was gonna go there, but then you did.
I went to go see the Covenant last night, the Guy Ritchie movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, and in the snack line, a couple had little pillows that they were holding, and they had kittens.
You're lying.
I swear to Christ. I'm going to put it up on my Instagram story.
They brought cats to the movie theater?
They brought No, not cats. Kittens. No, and by the way, they were this big. They were so little. And I wanted to know what movie they were seeing, those cats. Because it couldn't, you wouldn't want something loud. Like the Covenant is about the U.S.'s time in Afghanistan. I was like, I hope they're not going in there.
Maybe they went and saw Mario.
Yeah, cats do like that.
Little animation.
Yeah, cat. I don't think their eyes were like those. They looked like mole people. They looked like they needed a meal, and they were on silk pillows. It's like those cats were kings, and these people were their servants.
Or DJ Khaled's shoes at a Lakers game.
Exactly. Yes. Watch, he's going to start wearing cats. That guy, you could tell, he didn't give a fuck about the environment.
Oh, no.
He's going to have cat-skinned sneakers. But these little dudes, and I thought to myself, but it didn't faze anyone. That's where we're at in society in LA. Where people can just there's no way those were emotional support anything. And they were just being brought to a movie theater? For why? And this was a late show. These kittens should be asleep. And they look too young to not be by their mother.
I was just about to say, where are these kittens' mothers?
Maybe she was in the theater waiting. They were just getting snacks. And by the way, none of the snacks are safe for kittens. Most of the snacks at theaters, not safe for humans.
So true.
The popcorn, my buddy used to work in a movie theater, and he said what they used to do is they would take a giant garbage bag.
Oh, please don't.
And they would take all the popcorn from the night before and put it in the bag and store it. Oh, and then the next day they would just put it back in there and they would just salt it.
Oh my God.
Bro, we don't take care of each other in this world.
No, we don't.
How much money are we saving by bagging it like you rake the lawn? Trash bags full of day-old popcorn.
Hey, everybody's got to make a buck.
I mean, yeah. A buck is probably all they saved.
Yeah.
But also, we don't take care of each other. Did you hear about on that cruise ship? There was a guy who died at sea on a Celebrity Cruise was the name of the cruise ship. I wonder if Celebrity Cruise, there was an old casino called the IP in Vegas where they would have celebrity dealers. Did you ever go to this place?
No.
Dude, they would have celebrity impersonators. They were called dealer-tainers.
What?
By the way, not a good word.
No.
Yeah, can you believe it? They're shut down. And you would just have Michael Jackson being like, oh, just like doing. They weren't just like dudes and women just being like, all right, you want to, yeah, dealer wins. They were like in it the whole time. Like, and it was like Cher, Lady Gaga, and Whitney Houston. And then in the middle where the pit boss was, there was a pole, like a stripper pole or something, or maybe just a stage. And they would get up and they would take a break and they would do like a hit, like I don't know if they lip sync or they actually did the song, but they would like take a break to give everybody a show at like 2 p.m.
I feel like there should be a whole casino in Vegas.
It was.
Wait, it was?
It was the IP. It was 100% real. And then it was gone. But that's the thing is I wondered, celebrity cruises, I didn't even look this up. I wonder if celebrity cruise ships, they just have celebrity impersonators. Let me tell you something right now. You get real tired of that motherfucker doing Johnny Depp the 10th day. I mean, that here's the thing about impressions. Like, listen, I love them. I make a living doing them. But nobody wants to hear, no, room service. Can I turn on the bed? You're like, Johnny, can you just give us a fucking second here, man? Sorry, I'll just wait outside here. I'm just waiting outside. Just to let you know the buffet is open. The buffet is open. Try the shrimp. It was caught fresh this morning. The captain just dresses like Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh, God.
You can't tell if he actually is drunk on rum the whole time. You just don't want that. You don't want celebrities like to be, you don't want to feel like you're living in a wax museum. And there's just no real people you can talk to, that everyone's just playing a person. It's like you're living dinner theater at sea. That would be a nightmare. But I think a really funny comedy, A Murder Mystery at Sea. And it's like there's 10 Marilyn Monroes. Or just like Seth Rogen, which Seth Rogen did it. And one of them just doesn't look like it. Like one of them is just a black guy. But he does an amazing Seth Rogen impression. Right? That there's just like, or there's like, that would be the worst. 10 Johnny Depps. Oh my God. I'm making myself angry talking about this.
10 Amber Heards would make me more upset.
10 Amber Heards. They come as a pair. And by the way, when Amber Heard, she cleans the room, she leaves some shit in your bed instead of a chocolate. That's how you know she was there. Chocolate shaped shit. He goes, oh, you've cleaned the room. The rum bar's been refilled. He's always asking for a tip. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Then I don't want to see that. But they had it in Vegas, and it was very talented people. But anyway, on this cruise ship, on the celebrity cruise, this guy died at sea. And there were two options that they gave the family. Number one, we can put your deceased husband, we can drop him off at the nearest port, and somebody from a funeral service, whatever, can pick him up. But then I think that they had to transport the body back to the hometown. Or we can put him in a freezer, a deep freezer, for 6 days and wait till you get back to like Fort Lauderdale or some shit. So they decided, we're just going to put him on ice and in the deep freezer. But they didn't. They put him in like the booze cooler. And so he started to decompose in the booze cooler. They had a real Weekend at Bernie's moment there. And then when they opened the cooler, he had started to decompose and was like bloated and puffy. And now they're suing. Could you imagine? Did people get ice from those drinks?
I hope not.
Oh my God. That's so fucking gross. People like try to go fuck in the freezer, and then he's just in there like, sorry, we didn't know somebody was already in there. They're just like a dead dude. That's like a Goodfellas thing. But at least the mafia had the decency to put them in a deep freezer. They're just letting this guy out. They're making like snow cones with him. Everything is like Indiana Jones, the Temple of Doom flavored.
The smell goes away when you freeze it, right?
Yeah, but it has to be a deep freeze.
Oh, okay. It's an inside out freeze.
Yeah, it's got to be, I would have stuffed him with ice packs.
Or just threw him in a cold plunge.
I mean, the water would have, that would have killed him. He was already dead. No, he would just look like, he would have looked like a clump. He would look like Fat Bastard or Tom Hanks from Elvis. You can't put him in water because then your body just starts to absorb. Could you imagine they put him in a cold
like
plunge?
A balloon?
And he comes back and he looks like Baron Harkonnen from the movie Dune. He just is like, I mean, imagine like seeing that. Ugh. Anyway, shout out to our newest sponsor, Celebrity Cruise. Nobody takes care of your loved ones like we do. So, and Celebrity Cruise coolers. What else we got here? Big history week, by the way. Jane Fonda released her first workout tape in 1982.
Get it, Jane.
Which is pretty amazing. I think that people can really only think of, maybe Billy Blanks. Is that his name?
I think so.
The boxer?
Yep.
Tybo. I heard a rumor that he doesn't even know karate.
It's good marketing.
He tie blows. It is good marketing, but also like, I mean, anything. I mean, that Jane Fonda stuff. So if you haven't seen it, go back and look at the workout videos. It was jazzercise. It was all that stuff. I can only think of her and Richard Simmons. But
What if Richard Simmons made a comeback?
Richard Simmons has disappeared.
I have no idea where he is.
This podcast, part of our mission here is to find Richard Simmons. If you have any information, please go to my website, jonathankitecomedy.com, and reach out to us.
Or we'll make a number and then put it below.
Put it below. We're looking for Simmons. It's a manhunt.
We'd actually love for him to be a guest on the podcast.
Richard, I'm sure you're watching or listening, wherever you get your podcasts. Please come on. Please be a guest. That guy, it's crazy to me that before that, because she released those tapes, right? Wasn't it? It's like the VHS tape in 1982. And I think most of those people were just buying them to beat off. But whatever, that's still exercise.
Dude, seriously.
I mean, yeah, there's just all of the reviews are just guys with like yoked one arm, and that's it.
Well, if it's a workout video, then you got to learn to at least do it with both hands.
Well, that's what they do. They're like, and switch,
Yep.
and switch, and switch. That would be a great Jane Fonda porno workout video. And slide, and slide.
What if you just did a whole jerk off video, but you guided them through the whole jerk?
Wait, I did it or Jane Fonda?
Either.
Or Richard Simmons.
We're leaving money on the table.
Bro, that should be my OnlyFans. That it's just me showing people how to jerk off.
You've created a perfect 3 minutes.
Dude, to come on the go. Coming and going with Jonathan Kite. It's my OnlyFans. Yeah, because you're busy. You have work and family life that you need to balance. But when do you have time to nut? I'm Jonathan Kite, and I'm here to nut on the go. You just saw me earlier in the podcast how I drive. I take us to 0 to 60 in 3 minutes. It's called Jane Fondle.
Ooh, that's good.
Jane Fondle.
That was good.
I think, bro, yeah, at the speed at which you do it, and I create for the car, I create another costume change where I have a TV tray over me that if somebody just looks in, it just looks like my hand is here. I create a fake arm for this in the car. It's called The Stranger. You don't have time to sit on your arm. Let us do it for you. It's a fleshlight that looks like a hand. Oh. and on the outside, it looks like a shake weight. So if people do look in, it just looks like I'm
working out,
which I am.
Yeah.
It's a very complicated contraction. It probably takes about 5 minutes. We have to get a pit crew.
We're working on a prototype
to see how fast we can set this up and how fast, you burn through rubbers. I think this is gold.
I think it's gold.
Man. Also, the installation of Pope Benedict happened in 2005. Do you remember him? He was the Hitler Youth Pope. He was in Hitler's gang when he was little. That Adolf gang. If you go back and look at this guy, just because I was just Googling images, he looks like a Scooby-Doo villain. He looks like he's wearing a mask, and he would have gotten away with it if it hadn't been for those kids. I feel like that's also what he said about fondling young boys in the church. Ooh. I would have gotten away with it. I would have gotten off if it hadn't been for those damn kids. That is the popes are the ultimate Scooby-Doo villain.
I think a lot of those old dudes with power are villains.
Yeah.
I
think the fact that he stepped down and they kept him on the property. How close is the Vatican to schools? Too close.
Too close
is the answer. We've just been demonetized by the church. Al Pacino was born in 1940.
Wow.
You even said that like Al Pacino. Wow. 1940. That's a long time ago. I would say Al Pacino looks like a fish who's being fed.
You know, funny quick story. Mom was a waitress, New York City. Al Pacino walks in. Super dick to mom. Mom swears she spit in his burger.
Why is there a loogie in my fucking burger?
Sorry, Mom, for outing you, but, had to be done.
Al Pacino's always trying to get a hair out of his mouth without touching it. He's like a pug trying to clean peanut butter off some shit, right?
Watching you do this is just entertainment at its finest.
Hooah! He's got a lozenge that he just can't seem to. He has an everlasting
He
gobstopper
can't find it
in
in
his
his
mouth.
mouth.
What are we talking about here? All right. Al Pacino, it's funny because he's one of those guys we talked about before where you either die the hero or you live long enough to become the villain. Because I feel like the way he sounds now is because of the way people do impressions of him. What are you talking? We listen to him in Godfather. He's just like, what are you talking about? No, Fredo. How are we doing over here? I can't. The famous lines from Godfather I just said. Fredo, what are we doing over here? Let's see. Who else? This is the craziest thing. So in 2018, Simpsons aired its 636th episode this week, surpassing Gunsmoke as the longest running scripted primetime show in the United States.
The Simpsons?
Yes, in 2018. Gunsmoke was on for 20 years on TV. And here's the craziest thing. They were on for radio 10 years before that. A radio television iteration of that was on, I think, for almost or right around 30 years.
That's crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
Could you
that's
imagine?
crazy.
I mean, it was about, I think it was 1870. I don't know if it was Dodge City. I can't remember where the Gunsmoke took place, but it's like, I mean, that it was on prime time. The idea that it was heralded as one of the greatest shows of all time, especially for its time. But on radio, I mean, it still holds up. We think about a show going too long if it's like 3 or 4 seasons. And then we do with streaming, we only do like 6 to 8 episodes a season. And now you're just like, dude, they did 635 episodes of Gunsmoke.
Yeah, that's wild. And this is scripted, right? Because isn't there like isn't Survivor the longest show on television?
Survivor is, and this is scripted. This is Gunsmoke was a Western, and it was in prime time. So it's just incredible to me that something would be that long, and if it was good, it just kept going. And The Simpsons, right? Like, I haven't seen a new episode of The Simpsons in a very long time, to be admitted, but I still think that is a great show, and I'm glad that it exists. Because pretty soon, when it goes away, we will remember that is one of the best shows of all time.
Easily.
I mean, to me, when I was growing up, it was Simpsons or In Living Color. Those were the two shows I think that shaped me in my youth. I always said my comedy tastes were that of Wiz Khalifa. You either had to be black or yellow. And those shows would come on right after each other. And I just remember that was the only thing when I got to watch something on Sunday, that's all I watched. We got to watch an hour of TV. My parents really limited our TV. And so I would only watch that Sunday nights. And I remember that's what everybody was talking about the next day at school. Like, if you missed that sketch on In Living Color or like that joke, whatever, on The Simpsons, then you didn't know what people were talking about. You might as well stay home that next day. You were out of it.
I remember those days in school where you had to know the no, or else you just weren't cool.
Well, everybody that I grew up with watched 90210. I never saw the show, Beverly Hills 90210. But I felt like I was really on the outs for that. And I didn't want to watch it just to be involved in the playground gossip. But I remember I was trying to I was trying to not even hook up with this girl. I was so young. But she was like, "Oh, I'm going to miss the episode." And I was like, "Oh, I'll tape it for you." 90210 on a VHS, thinking that like we would we'd be good, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
we know.
We know how we do. So I taped the episode on an old VHS of 90210 and gave it to her. I'll never forget, in the park.
That was a pimp move, bro.
Dude.
That was a pimp move.
Yes, it worked out later in life. That was just so funny, like that what you used to do to try to get, I mean, not even late. I was so little.
Did you ever make a girl a mixtape where like you put together like 12 songs and you like put all your heart into it and you were like, "Here, girl, listen to this."
I made mixed CDs.
Okay. Same shit.
I was not good with the editing. With the tape, the CD was so much easier.
CD was easier.
Yeah. I tried to make a girl a mixtape in my adult life when tapes didn't exist anymore, and I bought her a boombox to play the tape on.
Again, pimp move.
Yeah, man, it did not go well. There is a restraining order. The first song was "Help" by the Beatles. I made a follow-up. That's what it's at a series that I call "This Is What Jonathan Kite Calls Music" Volume 2. No, it worked out good, but it just, that was a pretty bold. I remember thinking like, this is either going to go great or it's going to go terribly.
How old were you?
When I made this mixtape?
Yeah.
52. It was yesterday. And I'm waiting right now to see if I get a call from the authorities or her. No, I probably was in my 30s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I made CDs all throughout my 20s. Your boy was burning CDs.
Oh, burning.
Burning, baby. Burning. Thank you for, I threw up the question thing last minute, so we didn't really get to get any questions. So this was one that I didn't cover last week. People ask me, how did I learn my Trump impression? And I will say this, that I did Trump at the rallies. That's where I started doing, where he sort of screams a lot up here, where he's talking to a huge group of people. He's saying and he falls off. And it's more that he's projecting, but he doesn't realize the microphone is on the whole time. Like Trump's one of those guys who the mic is right here. So, excuse me, he can still talk to a lot of people like this on the stadium. They can project. It's totally fine. But he would get out there as if he didn't realize that this was amplifying what he was doing. So he'd be trying back there to yell all the time, and then he would fall off. I did this. I would fall off at the ends of it. So that's how I learned my Trump impression. That'll do it for another episode of Kite Club. I'm Jonathan Kite. Remember, come see me in Tempe, JonathanKiteComedy.com. From all of us here, Paul Corey, I'm Jonathan Kite. You'd be too if you were me. Good night, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.